Okay, I was not able to find my hardware screen, but I figured you can use, this is a badminton racket, and those are about 1/4 inch squares right there. The rule of thumb is you really don't want, when you've got a cutting that comes halfway around the world into a northern climate, you really do not want anything less than 1/8 of an inch. Well, that's gonna, you know, that's still gonna get in there no matter what you do. But what I do here, you just don't want a lot of it. What I do, it's hard for me to hold my, yeah. All right, we'll put it over here. Okay. You get rid of all the fines. All right. This is pretty well rotted. I mean, this is, you know, it's not what I want to use, but it's good enough. So we're going to start making our mix look like that, rather than this, with all the little tiny pieces in it. Again, I would not care so much if it was an established plant over 5 gallons. Usually the rule is under 5 gallons you want to be careful about porosity with plumerias. I'm doing this with my left hand, so you can get an idea of what we want it to look like there. Getting better. Get rid of all the small pieces, let them sift through. You know, it doesn't have to be perfect. We're trying to avoid those dead zones. The Handbook on Plumeria Culture, which was first edition back in the 1980s, talked about that. Oxygen depleted zones in the container. That's a danger with every plant, not just plumerias, but especially with plumerias it is. Richard Eggenberger is a friend of mine, and I've talked with him on the phone. He is sort of a mentor when I had nobody else back in the 80s and 90s telling me how to do this, the plumerias. So we're getting, can you see how it looks in there? As opposed to something like this. Is it making sense yet? We got bigger chunks in here now. More airspace for the roots. So we continue to screen all the fines out. I don't know what that is. Pine bark mulch really resists breaking down and rotting, much more so than a lot of other things, especially peat. The milled varieties of things, like the milled cocoa peat, those things are way too fine. Same with sand. You don't want to use sand. There are people that have said in the past, you could use sandblasting sand. No, that's still too small. You know, not on a cutting that comes halfway around the world to a warm climate with our extreme. You're trying to give this cutting the best possible life it can have. You don't want it to have to deal with too many fines. Look at all that. See how it's broken down? It's not the best mix. This is not the best bag. I could go to Home Depot and try to search for fresher bags. But if I do this, I'll get rid of the problem too. See how it looks down there? Believe it or not, plumerias don't mind this. Right. If you're a gardener or somebody who knows about hardware cloth or sifting your soil like this, all right, you can see what I'm getting rid of down there. See all these fines? These will compact. The more waterings you do in your pot, the more these break down, the more this becomes like a sludge. But these are still too fine. Look how fine that is. So you want something more like that. Where was I? And for the fines in this, we'll throw a little perlite in. Anyway, we're going to get enough to... And it'll also, the perlite will also buffer the pH. I sent this pine bark mulch into a lab in Nashville, and they said it was that with a peat moss was about 3.8, a little under 4, which is extremely acidic. Plumerias will adjust to it. Remember, your water is going to be 7.0, and it will bring it up over time, but rainwater might bring it down. But anyway, I don't know about that. But anyway, you see what I'm doing. Okay. The pH doesn't matter so much. Not right now. Right now you're just going for the best porosity. Alright. Okay, you get the idea.